What's going on, everybody? It's KRYPTONIAN saying here, bringing you guys another Chainsaw Man review for chapter 125. And for this one, Fujimoto continues to take the expression, let him cook, literally, because last chapter we saw the falling devil preparing a dish that we know will include Mitaka and Yoru as that main dish. And now in this chapter, we see the falling devil literally going out shopping for ingredients. We literally open up the chapter with the ears and the eyeballs being snatched out of the bodies of unsuspecting humans. And if that isn't crazy enough, the falling devil literally goes from shopping for body parts from living humans to literally pulling up to the shopping market and going through the aisle like a mother shopping for dinner for her children. And she's looking at apples and asking the clerk which apples go well with human flesh, which leads to a scene going from a horrific slice of life to just being downright horrific. A human clerk is being held up against the will, against the top of the ceiling. They're clearly afraid of the devil in front of them, as well as the fear of falling, which was very cleverly and artistically done by Fujimoto here. Unless a mangaka would have had the characters say something like, I don't want to fall, or please don't drop me, or let me down. We just see the fear on the face of the character, and that's enough for us as the audience, and it's up to us as the readers to see which fear is the actual greater fear here, the fear of falling or the fear of the falling devil itself. The other thing I love about this scene is that the falling devil shows more personality the more that we see it. We see the falling devil reassure the human clerk that they won't be killed as long as they don't try to attack it first, and then proceeds to start asking about apples again. As a former retail worker, I can really appreciate Fujimoto making the customer look like a monster, because despite what they tell you on television, the customer is not always right. And the horror stories I can say from the stuff I've seen working in retail will make your skin crawl. So I personally love the portrayal here. It's then that we see the falling devil in typical fashion of somebody shopping, realizing that, hey, I left an item off of my list, but before she can walk back into the store to get a man's head, we see a pair of devil hunters with sniper rifles that shoot and do huge damage to the falling devil at first. Now, for a moment, I paused here because I remembered how in part 1 of Chainsaw Man, there was a line that was snuck into the exposition that said that using guns against devils was something that was done in the past. But when I saw this, it brought it back to my memory, because we've seen guns in Chainsaw Man, so this isn't anything new, but I don't believe that we've actually seen them in part 2 of Chainsaw Man, which is why it slipped my mind that there were still guns out there even after the situation with the gun devil itself. The snipers, they continue to open fire on the falling devil despite it not doing anything, and that just leads to the falling devil getting annoyed and destroying the building where one of the snipers is shooting from and cutting off the head of that particular sniper so she can get the last item on her list. However, before the falling devil can bag up the head that she just got, Denji shows his lack of manners by penetrating the falling devil from behind with his chainsaw right through her back and axing out through the chest and splitting her in half. This leads to the one moment that threw me off despite it being one of the most Denji things ever to say. He wasn't killing the falling devil because of all the chaos and carnage that it carried it out. Nope, Denji is killing the falling devil because he's calling it an apple thief. Now, obviously, Denji likely got told to handle the situation with the falling devil. I think we can agree on that. But if we find out that Denji was just there looking for apples anyway and saw this devil walk out without paying for the apples and decided to kill the devil for being an apple thief, I'm gonna fall on the floor laughing. This leads to the chapter ending off with the falling devil saying this is the first time she's ever been on the menu in her entire life. So the first thing that really stands out after reading the chapter is the fact that this was way too easy. When I say way too easy, this was a open court layup. For as scared of the situation as Yoru was when she realized that the devil that they were dealing with was super powerful, and the way that Fami was hyping it up, the idea that Denji just shows up and takes out the falling devil like it's absolutely nothing, it really is setting us up for one of the biggest swerves that I've seen since Monday Night Raw this past Monday, where Cody Rhodes got absolutely destroyed by Brock Lesnar and reports hit the internet that Vince McMahon's now booking creative. However, unlike Vince McMahon, I at least trust Fujimoto and know that he at least knows what he's doing here. There's some long-term storytelling at play here. I highly doubt Denji is just beating this current devil this easily without us at least paying off that whole Mitaka and Yoru learning to trust each other, and Mitaka overcoming the traumas of her past, or at the very least making progress with it. This is 120% a swerve that is coming for us. The other thing that we see here is that we're getting another loop back to one of the first things we saw in Chainsaw Man Part 2. Remember how the classmates of Mitaka, they're all loving Bucky the Chicken Devil, and we saw this random NPC standing in the middle of the street telling everyone to wake up and see the truth because the #1 cause of death for humans is death via devil? Well, we're seeing right here that that man is absolutely right, because look at the body count that this devil has racked up in only 3 chapters of screen time, and this chapter, in it we see the most blatant disregard for human life that there is, though albeit there is a questionable line that makes you stop and pause, because apparently we have a devil who just killed a bunch of people but doesn't like meaningless slaughter, unless this can be viewed as the deaths were necessary for the purposes of a body and for getting the ingredients needed for a dish, which if that's the case, that makes a lot of sense. When I'm out eating a burger, I'm not looking down at the burger thinking, oh, this poor cow that it came from. I'm thinking about eating it, and chances are I'm eating french fries because it's my cheat day, and that might be the message that Fujimoto is going for here with the Falling Devil. The more we see out of this world of Chainsaw Man, the more I'm glad, even though it's based off of the world much like our own, it isn't real, because dude, some of these deaths are absolutely insane that we've seen in the series. Imagine walking down the street and the Falling Devil just plucks out your eyes, or you're stocking shelves at like Kroger or Target or Publix, and this thing is just holding you up against the ceiling and asking you for your opinion on apples. Imagine living in a world where you see something like the Falling Devil and you're shooting it with high-powered guns and you're not able to slow it down. If anything, you just managed to piss it off even more, which those devil hunters, I don't know who ordered the hit on this one, but man, I really do gotta question the idea behind it, unless they just severely underestimate the Falling Devil. And there's no guarantee they even know they're dealing with a primal devil unless Yoshida said something. Now, this might be Fujimoto using dramatic irony here, where we as the audience know it's pointless to try and attack a devil this strong with guns, but the devil hunters might not know what they're dealing with a super overpowered primal devil itself. It's like when you're playing an RPG and you don't realize that the floor boss is at level 90 and your character's only like level 70 because you skipped all the side quests. You might have a chance to win, but most likely you're gonna end up dying and have to repeat the stage. Now, back to the Falling Devil's motives itself. Why is she so focused and fixated on Asa, Mitaka, and Yoru? Is this a situation like we saw in Chainsaw Man Part 1 where we had a ton of devils that were after Denji's heart? Is there something special about Yoru being inside of Mitaka's body that the Falling Devil is after? And if so, is that the other reason that Yoru saw what was going on and ran away and stressed to Mitaka they need to trust each other? I get it, Yoru's not at full power right now, but this one feels like there's something else to it that we're not being told about Yoru, and the reason why the Falling Devil is so focused on her and Mitaka. Now, the chapter did have its horrific moments, which is expected given the series we have, but it also had the comedic aspect completely nailed, because if Read the Room was a meme, it would be Denji for taking away from this entire situation. He's only dealing with an apple thief. The big question going forward, though, is exactly what we discussed in the last chapter. Is Denji about to be forced to face some of his past trauma, like the deaths of Aki and Power? Because we could argue in a way he's never really dealt with those deaths in a healthy way that shows that he's grieved. If Mitaka is being eaten up by her trauma, I'm expecting Denji to at least go through that right now as well. The question here, though, is does the Falling Devil recognize Denji as being the hybrid for the Chainsaw Devil? There are so many ways Fujimoto could take this next chapter, and I'm excited to see where this goes from here, because it does feel like we're gonna have Denji run up the hype for a bit before we get a more serious chapter with Yoru and Asa Mitaka. However, with that being said, click here to watch these other Chainsaw Man videos you see on the screen right now.